Welcome back to the Whisper Knows. This is the place where stories don't scream, they whisper. Tonight's question is simple, and once you hear it, you won't be able to unhear it. What if it's true that the lullaby your mother sang wasn't meant for you? Most people think the first song they ever knew was something gentle, something safe, a voice in the dark, wrapping around them like a blanket. But some songs are not comfort. Some songs are instructions, and some were never meant to soothe a child at all. Elias didn't remember much from before his 8th birthday, just pieces, a hallway light that never stayed on, the smell of rain coming through a cracked window, and his mother's voice, low and trembling, singing the same lullaby every night. Not sweet, not soft, careful, as if she was trying not to wake someone else. He only understood how strange that was after she died. The house was empty for the first time in his life. No footsteps upstairs, no humming from the kitchen, no voice drifting through the walls after midnight. He told himself that was why he couldn't sleep. Then, on the 3rd night alone, at exactly 3:14 a.m., he heard it. Not in his room, not outside. From inside the baby monitor sealed in a cardboard box in the attic. A hiss, a crackle. Then his mother's voice, thin and warped by static, singing the same lullaby she used to sing when he was little. Elias froze at the bottom of the attic stairs, because there was one line in the song he had never heard before. A line whispered so faintly it sounded like it had been hidden. "Sleep, my boy, until the other one forgets your name." And for the first time in years, Elias felt exactly what he used to feel as a child when the song ended. Relief, because that meant whatever was listening had gone away. Elias stood in the attic doorway with one hand on the pull cord, staring at the box. The baby monitor had been packed away for over 20 years. He knew that because he had packed his mother's attic himself after the funeral. Old blankets, broken picture frames, a tin of buttons, a dead machine that should have had no power left in it. But the little speaker was glowing, a weak green light, blinking. And his mother's voice kept singing through the static, low and urgent, like she was afraid of being overheard. He climbed the last few steps slowly, every board complaining beneath his weight. The air was thick with dust and summer heat, but the closer he got to the monitor, the colder it felt. By the time he reached the box, his breath was visible. The lullaby stopped. Silence. Then another sound came through the speaker. Breathing. Not his, not recorded. Wet, patient, close. Elias dropped the box, and the monitor clattered across the attic floor. The green light flickered wildly. Beneath a pile of folded blankets, something thin and yellowed slipped free and landed at his feet. A photograph. He bent down and picked it up with shaking fingers. It showed his mother sitting in a hospital bed, pale and exhausted, holding a newborn wrapped in a white blanket. Only the baby's face had been scratched out. No, not scratched. Removed. The paper had been worn away from the center with such force that it left a ragged hole where the infant's features should have been. And in the corner, written in his mother's handwriting, were 5 words. This one cried at songs. Elias turned the photo over. There was a date, but it wasn't his birthday. It was 2 days earlier. He stared at it, trying to make sense of it, when he heard the attic door behind him creak open another inch. He turned fast. No one there, just darkness on the stairwell. Then, from below, deep in the house, a floorboard popped. A slow step, then another. Something was moving through the hallway beneath the attic. And as Elias listened, frozen in the dark, The monitor crackled back to life. This time, his mother wasn't singing. She was whispering, "Don't let it hear you call me Mom." Elias didn't move. Every instinct told him to run downstairs, grab his keys, and never come back. But that whisper pinned him where he stood. "Don't let it hear you call me Mom." The words sank into him like cold water. Below the attic, the footsteps stopped. Not faded, not retreated. Stopped. As if whatever was down there had heard the monitor too, and was now listening. Elias killed the attic light. Darkness swallowed everything at once. He crouched beside the box, forcing himself to breathe through his nose. The monitor let out one sharp burst of static, then went quiet again. For a few seconds, the whole house felt dead. Then he heard something worse than footsteps, humming, low, unsteady, almost human. It was the lullaby, but not in his mother's voice. This voice was wrong, too deep in some notes, too thin in others, like several mouths were trying to sing together and couldn't agree on how. It drifted up the stairs slowly, getting closer with each line. Elias pressed a hand over his mouth. A memory surfaced, one he hadn't thought about in years. He was 6, pretending to sleep in bed while his mother sat beside him. She had been singing that same song over and over, sweat on her neck, eyes fixed on the bedroom door. Then the doorknob had turned, just a little, and his mother, without stopping the song, had reached under the pillow and pulled out a pair of scissors. At the time, he thought she was scared of a burglar. Now he understood something else. She hadn't been watching the door to keep someone out. She had been watching it to see which one came in. The humming reached the top of the stairs. A shape darkened the crack beneath the attic door. Tall, motionless. Elias looked wildly around and saw, half buried under an old quilt, a narrow notebook tied with faded blue ribbon. His mother's handwriting covered the first page. He opened it to the middle. Most entries were dates and fragments, scribbled like they'd been written during panic. It knows the song. It stands outside his room when I stop. It smiles when he sleeps. If he ever learns the last verse, it will know I chose the wrong child. Elias felt the blood leave his face. The wrong child. At that exact moment, the attic door began to open, slowly, patiently, and through the widening gap, a voice that sounded almost like his own whispered, "Mom." Elias nearly answered. The voice was perfect. Not just similar, exact. His own tone, his own breath, his own fear. "Mom?" The attic door opened wider, just enough for a face to appear in the dark. At first, Elias thought he was looking into a mirror. Then the details shifted. The skin was too pale, the smile too slow, the eyes too wide, reflecting almost no light at all. It leaned its head against the frame and watched him with childish curiosity, as if it had been waiting years for this moment. Elias looked down at the notebook again, hands trembling so badly he almost tore the page. Another line had been underlined 3 times. Never answer when it borrows his voice. Never sing after midnight. And never let it know you found the cradle room. The creature in the doorway took one soft step forward. Its bare foot touched the attic floorboards without making a sound. Then another. It was taller than Elias by at least a head, but everything else about it was horribly unfinished, like a person copied from memory by something that had never truly seen one. Its arms were a little too long. Its fingers bent strangely at the joints, and its face kept drifting in and out of resemblance. Now his, now someone else's, now nearly blank. "I waited," it said in his voice. Elias backed away until his shoulders hit the slanted wall. For her to give you back. The monitor crackled. His mother's voice burst through in a panic, louder than before, distorted but unmistakable. Bedroom wall, behind the wardrobe. Don't let it sing. The thing's head snapped toward the monitor. Its mouth opened wider than a mouth should, and it began to hum. The sound hit Elias like pressure inside his skull. His knees almost buckled. The notebook slipped from his hands as the creature took another step, then another, its expression turning hurt, then angry. She fed me your name, it whispered, every night, so I wouldn't take yours by force. Elias ran. He slammed through the attic door, hit the stairs hard, and half fell to the landing below. The humming followed instantly, no longer from behind him, but from all around the house, vibrating through the walls like the building itself had learned the tune. He stumbled into his mother's old bedroom and threw himself at the wardrobe. The wood scraped across the floor. Behind it, hidden beneath peeling wallpaper, was a small painted door no bigger than a child's coffin. And from the other side of it came the sound of someone rocking gently and singing the lullaby back. Elias dropped to his knees in front of the little door. The paint was cracked with age, the handle small and rusted, almost toy-like. It had been hidden for so long that the wallpaper around it had fused to the frame. Yet from the other side came the unmistakable rhythm of a wooden chair rocking back and forth. Creak, pause, creak, and the lullaby. Not loud, not threatening, almost tender. Behind him, the humming in the hallway stopped. The house went still. Elias looked over his shoulder and saw the bedroom doorway standing open, black as an empty mouth. Nothing moved there, but he could feel it waiting, just beyond the frame, listening for the next sound he would make. His fingers closed around the tiny handle. Cold. He pulled. The little door opened inward with a long, splintering groan, revealing a narrow hidden space between the walls. It smelled of dust, old milk, and something faintly rotten. A tiny room had been built there, no larger than a nursery closet. Inside was a cradle, handmade, worn smooth at the edges, still rocking by itself. Above it hung a faded mobile of paper stars, turning though there was no breeze. On the wall, written over and over in his mother's handwriting until the ink had nearly gouged the wood, were the same words. Only one can be sung to. Only one will be kept. Do not finish the last verse. Elias stepped closer to the cradle. At first it looked empty. Then the mobile shifted, and he saw a bundle of yellowed cloth inside. Small bones, wrapped carefully, protected, an infant's remains. Tucked beside them was a final note, folded so many times it had almost become soft. Elias opened it, barely able to breathe. If you are reading this, then I failed to bury the song with me. I had twins, one born crying, one born listening. The listening one learned my voice before it learned its own skin. So I sang to only one child every night, and I changed the ending, so it would never know which one I chose. If you survived, then you are my son. If it found you first, it will ask for the last verse. Do not speak it. Do not let it hear love in your voice. It cannot take what is unloved. Behind Elias, from the doorway, came a soft and devastated whisper in his own voice. She lied. He turned. The thing was standing there again, but now it wasn't pretending to be him. Now it looked like a grown version of the baby from the torn photograph. And it was crying. Black tears ran down its face as it took one slow step into the room and said, "She sang to you, while she let me starve in the wall." Elias stared at it, unable to move. The thing in the doorway looked less monstrous now than broken, hollow-cheeked, shaking. Its dark tears slid soundlessly to the floorboards as the mobile above the cradle kept turning, slow and gentle, like time had never stopped inside that hidden room. "She sang to you," it said again. Not angry this time, wounded, and that made it worse. Because Elias could hear it now beneath the distortion, beneath the shifting voice and the wrongness. There was a child in it, a child that had waited in the dark for a lullaby that never came. The creature stepped closer to the cradle. "I learned the song from the cracks," it whispered. "I learned your name from her mouth. I learned hunger from the walls." Elias looked down at the note in his hands. It cannot take what is unloved. For one terrible second, he understood what his mother had done. She had not defeated it. She had only managed it. Fed it just enough sound to keep it waiting. Loved one child loudly enough to save him. Denied the other so completely that it remained trapped between needing love and being unable to steal it. But now she was gone, and the song had no one left to sing it. The creature lifted its head and met Elias's eyes. "Just the last verse," it said softly. "Then I can sleep too." The house groaned. Around them, from inside the walls, came the sound of movement, slow shifting, scratching, as if something had begun waking in every hollow place the song had ever touched. Elias knew then that there had never only been one choice. His mother had hidden a third truth between the lines. The lullaby was not protection. It was containment. And it was failing. The creature took another step, opening its mouth. To sing. Elias lunged for the cradle and seized the tiny bundle of bones wrapped in cloth. The moment he touched them, the humming in the house became a scream. The paper stars spun violently overhead. The creature's face twisted in sudden terror. "No," it whispered. "Don't make me remembered." Elias didn't think. He only acted. He began to sing. Not the lullaby. A different song. Wordless, unsteady. Something his mother used to hum when she cooked, when she cleaned, when she thought no one was listening. Something warm. Something human. Something never meant to trap anything at all. The creature recoiled as if struck. Its features unraveled. The hallway dark behind it folded inward. The walls thudded and shivered. And for the first time, the thing let out a sound that was not hunger, not imitation, not threat. Grief. Then it was gone. The room fell silent. By morning, the little cradle room had collapsed into dust behind the wardrobe. The bones were gone. The monitor in the attic was dead. And the house, for the first time Elias could remember, no longer sounded occupied. He sold it 3 weeks later. But sometimes, just before sleep, he hears someone outside his bedroom door humming softly in the dark. Not the lullaby, the other song, as if something out there is still learning how to be loved. This has been The Whisper Knows, and some songs were never meant to help you sleep. They were only meant to keep something else awake. Good night.
Subscribe if you dare to listen.